Hello, everyone. I am Karissa Dunham from Shining Light on Minnesota. I am super honored and humbled to have a very special guest here today, Craig Parker Adams. Welcome, Craig.
Hi. Thank you so much. Very honored to be here.
You bet. So let's start off with telling some of our viewers your amazing story of growing up in Minnesota.
Exactly. I would say it was an amazing story. It's like an overwhelming way for me to start. Basically, I was born in the late 60s in Minneapolis. I was put up for adoption. I was in foster care for my very early years and got adopted into a amazing family with three adopted children from three separate worlds, right? Different bloodlines, as well as my folks. So there was five of us, and I was the youngest. And it was actually a very musical life, a musical household. The age gap was pretty big. The closest sibling to me was 5 years older. And and I shared a room with a brother who was 7 years older, if you can imagine. So that's a pretty big gap. So his patience level was probably just beyond. But anyways, and then my parents, they were already in their late 30s when they got me. And so it was a big generational situation between us and them, and then also me and my siblings. And we all listened to very different things. And,
Yes.
And both my parents were actually musicians, professional musicians, but not their sole source of survival. They did things in group form for fun. My father was a barbershop quartet singer. My mom was in the Sweet Adelines, which was a female chorus, which is big in that area, or actually really kind of all over the country. But so there was singing and there was pianos. We had two pianos in the house, and it's crazy. I don't play. I mean, I play piano, but I don't play piano.
Right.
And I had a drum set, that was through my brothers, and there was a guitar and an auto harp. So there's just all this stuff. So music was just full on. And then also we were all radio kids. So, radio was the day and all the different stations. And so it was just a real eclectic scenario of music. It was just endless. And I should also preface that this involves seeing rehearsals, like being a part of rehearsals. My parents would have the groups come to the house. And so I would be tasked to help set up or get ready or whatever. And all of this was paramount for my studio business many years later, because I learned the art of hospitality. And in a studio, in a recording world scenario, that's everything. Like the atmosphere, setting the ambience, the mood, being able to read people, how they're feeling, and sensing what they're about to do. It's all this chess type stuff. And my parents were huge at teaching me this very young. And that became kind of a part of like who I am. So when I ended up getting a recording studio and a studio business going, I think my strength was handling groups of people. That was really it. Like, we're not even talking about the notes. Like, we're not in the notes, we're not in the melody, we're not any of that. Just the nature aspect of how to get somebody in the zone to feel their best, to be able to let out, their heart, basically. So these were the early years that made it so later I was kind of inadvertently ready. Because I never wanted a recording studio business. That was never my goal. It's just my life happened that way. So these things worked out. So those the early years were my brother took guitar lessons. My parents were doing the gigs. The rehearsals were in-house. We'd go and travel with our parents when they would do, my dad would, with the barbershop quartet, they would tour. The Midwest, and we'd go to Milwaukee, we'd go to these big shows, and so I saw all of this kind of thing. But I always felt that music and myself was a very personal Like it came before anything. So I had a personal relationship within my own world with music because I was an observer. Everything was observing, you know, and you're just soaking it up as a kid. So, but in the meantime, I had an innate knowing that, I'm supposed to be around this and I'm supposed to just live whatever this is. This is my life, you know, being around the music that I like. And so that turned into an obsession with wanting to play the guitar as a young kid. Yeah. Then that basically became my life. And what was weird about this is I would say that I was the most, I was the squeaky wheel when it came to music, wanting to play music. Like it wasn't, my siblings weren't talking about this all the time or whatever. It was just kind of in our lives. I remember my sister even having to do violin for a period of time. But for me, it was I was being sucked to it. Like it was really a big deal. And when I was about 4 or 5 years old, this would have been 73, around there. I was born at the end of 68. My brother started taking guitar lessons at Schmidt Music School. If anybody knows of this place in downtown St. Paul, it used to be around. Yeah. And so he would have been 12. So that would have been 74, actually. So he gets a Yamaha nylon string acoustic guitar, the first real guitar in my family. And in a ceremonial type situation, I was told by the parents, you are not to touch this guitar. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, what? Why can't I touch the guitar? Well, it's because you're a silly little kid, right? You don't know. Right. So, and this isn't a toy.
Right.
So I had to, and because I shared a room with my brother, when he wasn't around, I knew how to get access to the guitar. So this kind of forbidden thing was going on for these early years with guitar, which is always weird to me. I mean, like I just said, I know why my parents did that, but it created a stronger draw. So by the time I was 7, 8, 9 years old, in that age range, I got like a fake electric guitar, and it just consumed my life. And it started by pretending. You know, just using a vacuum
air guitar,
all of that. Yeah, the hockey stick, the tennis racket, whatever. You know, pretending, playing, cranking up. I don't know if you would remember stations like U100.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So stuff like that I remember, and then of course KQ came later for me.
Yeah.
But you know, and then pretending, and then just trying to make my hands move like what I'm listening to. And then I had a cousin teach me a bar chord, and that opened up everything for me because now you can play one chord and move all over the neck.
Yeah.
And so somewhere around 8, 9, 10, my playing actually started to be playing, like I'm playing the thing, you know, as opposed to posing with it or pretending with it or whatever. So, and then I took some lessons for a short period of time at a place called Rex Music in West St. Paul, which oddly enough, or I should say luckily enough, is actually still there. I was just there a year ago.
Wow.
Yeah, I was in town, and I went to my old store and saw the son of the owner. So it's same family, still owns it. So, but it was a very special place for me. I did my first gig in the 5th grade, and it was at the YWCA, downtown St. Paul. And I played some weird piece called Shortening Bread, which I don't recall at all. But that was my first time on stage. Nice. And it was also where, as natural as music is for me, like a finger or some other, you know, extremity or something, just a part of you, nothing separate. Performing is a different thing for me, and it's always been like that. I haven't done a lot of performances in my lifetime. I've done studio work and all this other stuff, but as far as live gigs, I probably have about 100 gigs only in my life. And that part of my life never really took off. It never got the synergy of a great working band. You know what I mean? So I don't I don't have a ton of stage experience, and my father did, and so he would always critique me. You know, there's the thing that people that know how to work the stage, like that's a real art form. And I must admit, naturally, I don't have that. You know what I'm saying? Because I've worked around the performers all my life, and it's like they're a special breed. You know, and so I mean, I can stand there and sock it to you, no problem, but. That's not a natural thing for me. Like it's just like, oh, I just go do this. You know, it's like it's a head game kind of deal. So coming up I started playing with a group, kind of a makeshift rock band. You know, and when I was around the 7th grade, you get to middle school, and then I start meeting and making my friends. You know, once you go from the elementary school, which for me was called Somerset, and it was in Mendota Heights. Then I went to something called Grass Junior High. You meet all these people from all over the area, and you know, new friendships are formed. Started playing in a little band, and that kind of band was like just teetered me through junior high and high school. And mainly, what I was doing for my musical education was I was getting asked to teach guitar. So I became like a guitar instructor, which in some ways I kind of had no authority to do such a thing. You know what I mean? But it's it's when people ask like, "Hey, would you do that?" It was like, "Well, yeah, okay." So I started doing that, and that actually got a little problematic by the time I was in the later years of high school, because that music store that I told you about, Rex Music. The guy who owned it, Mr. Rex, he called my dad and said, "Hey, what's your kid do?" Like, he's hearing I'm doing guitar lessons and I'm taking business from redirecting it, and he kind of threatened me through my father in a way where it's not going to make my dad go stand up for me. You know what I mean? He just basically said, "Hey, your kid shouldn't be doing this, da 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 da. You know, taxes." But it's just what I did, you know, and that grew and grew and grew. And then I started working at a place there in Minnesota called the Rock Guitar Center, which was a new music store. This would be the early 80s. And I started hanging around this music store, kind of just like the way I suppose you'd see people hanging around a barber shop or a beauty shop or whatever. And so I'm kind of the young guy, and so I'm aspiring to be around these older guys and girls. And so, you know, now I'm in the music store world where it's like, oh, I'm just the person running around doing things for nothing. You know, maybe a set of strings or something, but you just want to be there and see everything. And that was a really cool experience, because I started seeing guitar players, all different types of guitar players. And now they're coming. I mean, they are rock oriented because that was the name of the store. So you're not, you know, the jazz guys aren't necessarily going to go in for the big hollow bodies and whatnot. So it was a rock scene, but nonetheless, there was still enough of a variety and enough musicians coming down in front, like literally sharing your space and performing and playing. Maybe performing is the wrong word, but playing, you know, and so you're getting all of these firsthand experiences of, hey, how come this person's feel or touch, you know, talks to me, or you know, gets a reaction out of me, where the other side is just like, oh, there's nothing. It became real clear for me. My inner critic got very highly developed.
It's like, here's an A chord that hits me, or here's the drop D. Let's go. Let's bring it. Yes. Basically,
all of those things, all the way down to just the way somebody touches the thing, or hits the thing, or attacks the thing, or, I mean, it just spoke volumes. So I was in the environment and seeing it's kind of like going to the gym, I suppose. You know. So anyways, that was really interesting times for me, and as a guitar player and as just a musical being. Because as a musical being, like I said, I had a comfort and awareness that, oh, well, this isn't anything unusual. I'm not special. You know, we all love music, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like, oh, well, this is just part of it. But seeing all the other players and stuff started to get a little introspectively with my playing, because it was real clear of people who come in and are like, I don't want to sound like this, and I don't want to sound like it. So this started helping me just kind of see things a little broader. And around this time, so for me, you know, I'm in high school, ending high school, and playing with others, still consistently with a very with a strong will. I'm trying to learn everything I can about guitar. Like, I'm compelled to play this thing all the time. And with connecting with others to have groups, I'm still trying to get a group off the ground. So, you know, but in the meantime, I'm tool shedding in the bedroom like you wouldn't believe, playing and learning everything, listening to the turntable and trying to slow things down and doing what we did. But I played a lot of sports when I was a kid, and I did like the camaraderie. And so playing music with others, although it's extremely personal, and I feel like, oh, I could be on a desert island, I'll be okay. You know, there's something to be said for playing with others.
Yeah.
And so I was really longing for that, like my band, you know, the group that I was looking for, like I was really longing for it. Anyways, so around this time, you know, I'm a teenager and I'm thinking, well, what am I going to do? And all this kind of stuff. Well, when I was earlier jump back to the 70s, my family, by just some beautiful grace, we would go on these family excursions, you know, summer vacations, basically. And we'd all get in the car and go drive somewhere, you know. And so it turned out in 1976, we drove out to California for the bicentennial.
Yep.
So we went to, the bicentennial was to be celebrated at Disneyland, and that's what we did. So we drove all over the country going, and so I knew when I came to California, you know, after really being around most of the country, that there was something that spoke to me different than the way Minnesota spoke to me. And especially at that time. See, as much as I love and appreciate what I experienced growing up in Minnesota, when you compared that at the time to the mountains and the ocean and, you know, Hollywood and just everything, it was the West Coast and California really spoke to me. So I asked my dad, like, when we got back from that trip, I'm like, how come we don't live out in vacation land? You know, so I knew in 76 that as soon as I was out of high school, I'm going to move there. Like, without music was not a factor. It's like, I got to live there. It was a it was a weather, climate, you know, geography based, you know, topography thing. So anyways, when I graduated in the end of 87 into the beginning of, the end of 1987, I graduated high school. And in 1988, a friend of mine who was joined the Navy was going to boot camp, and he said, hey, I'm going to boot camp. I can drive you to California. If you want, we can switch, you know, share the driving. And I had a mutual friend who I met around 7th grade at middle school, and he lived there. You know, his parents were divorced, so he got shifted custody. So now he's starting to come to my school, and I meet this guy, and we just instantly hit it off. You know, still friends to this day. He moved to California before me, and he's like, hey, you got to get out here, and I got a couch for you, and I can get you a job, and, you know, so get out here, you know. So anyways, the call came, and so within 5 days, my whole life just changed. Right. Where it's like I knew I have to take this opportunity, and I have to do this now, and I was not prepared. I had 3 guitars. And $88. And I told my parents on a Wednesday, hey, I'm moving to California Saturday.
Oh.
Yeah. And they're like, because I found out on Monday and I thought about it for 2 days. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to do it. And they're like, yeah, sure you are. And I'm like, no, I'm moving to California Saturday, And they're like, yeah, all right, didn't take the word. And anyway, so that's what I did. So that was back in 1988. So long time ago, so I got dropped into another world, but it was still based around music. So all my friends were musicians and whatnot. So I just was now out in California, and the first musical job I got was at the Guitar Center. The Guitar Center was a brand new company to the Midwest at this time. It was so. Anyways. When in '88 I'm here, I get a job at the Guitar Center, which was not an easy thing to do, but now I'm in Mecca, and I'm like everything,
people from all over the world, and
all of it. Yep. So basically now, trying to find a band, trying to play gigs, trying to get better. All of this is happening, and I basically started getting at this time into the art of recording, becoming a self-taught engineer. And so this phase starts for me where now I do have a band. We do start going into studios, and I'm not happy with the end result of what we're getting. So I'm like, something doesn't sound right. And I was one of the main writers as a musician for those musicians out there who write, like you can hear or what you're trying to achieve. And that's can be difficult for those around you who have no idea what's going on inside of you.
Right.
So, anyways, this is where I started to take control more of the recording of what I was doing, and then I started learning that whole world. And those two things basically came to a head around 1997 when I got a historic recording studio space in Hollywood. That was the catalyst, because for me, I was looking for a space just for me and my music, okay? Because I was in an apartment, and I was usually, the bands I was with, we always had studios, our own. So you could go out and make a racket, not bother people, do your creative stuff, whatever. So, but in the mid-90s, we lost our place, and so I was sequestered back to my home space, which was really crowded with all my gear. And then really kind of by an amazing situation, I end up getting an opportunity to pick up and take over what is considered to be one of the first sound recording studios ever built in the world. Wow. Yeah. So I did everything I could to get that place when I saw it, because I was never thinking this grand scheme of let me get a big recording studio, like a commercial facility, and spend my time making other people's dreams come true, basically.
Right.
Like Let's
get the drummer to make everything mix together and make it happen. Yeah.
All of it. But not only that, imagine putting your own musical desires basically on the back burner. Like you're just, okay, I'm going to put whatever I'm trying to do musically on simmer mode. This wasn't the case at first. At first it was full on. We got this great space. We're doing all this stuff. I get some better recording equipment by this time, and I record a record with my band that I recorded in under the tutelage of a great engineer named Shannon O'Neill. And this was the first record that I actually kind of engineered and worked on. And when I completed it, when my musical friends would hear it, they would be like, "Oh, that sounds great. Would you record me?"
Yeah.
And so I guess I could, So now I'm starting to have that thing of, I'm in the form of service, like I was as a little kid at those rehearsals at my home. Yeah. Because you have people coming to your space, and so I'm starting to, just organically fall into the position of how I was actually groomed as a child, where it's like this just seems natural to me. where all of a sudden it's like, hey, you got 8 people in the room with you. Like, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, and they all got to park, and they all want something to drink or something to snack or set up their stuff or this or it's like the logistics. It's just like, all right, go.
But all of it put together, we're good.
Absolutely. So it was just full on with all of that, and I took to it. So, and then as a musician, I'm again playing chess with the people I'm working with. I almost know what they're going to say before they say it to me.
Right.
Because now I'm this musician person, but you're also responsible for all of these people that are in your space who have an expectation.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, this just opens up the whole world into psychology now for me and all the things, because it's negotiating and handling personalities. That's really what the gig is. Outside of, you better know how to mic this, that, or the other, and you better know how to get a good sound or to fix something if a piece of equipment breaks down or something. You know, if you're on the clock and eyes are on you, this is a whole new dynamic now. And then not only that, so right away when people started asking me, as you know, and maybe Minneapolis, St. Paul's more like this now than it was back when I was there as a child, but this is a very international community. Mm-hmm. So absolutely, and it's in the zone that I am. You have to think now, Hollywood, California, recording studio business. I'm going to guess there's some competition.
Oh, yeah.
You get it? I mean, it's like...
There's music for everybody, but people don't understand that there's enough to go around.
That is the key right there. Yeah. And so, and I started knowing that right away or learning that right away, because that studio that I had for 22 years, Winslow Court, which Winslow Court was the name of the cul-de-sac that I grew up on in West St. Paul.
Nice.
So it's the second. It's the second home that I lived in, and actually, I didn't even name my business. So there's another story to it. A friend of mine named it after a piece of music I wrote. He didn't know what the name meant. It's the street I grew up on. It means home. So my business name that's what it's related to. So, anyways, having like these people coming in and learning that. People from all over the world, or people from different musical styles or genres, they have their own terminologies. Mm-hmm. So certain words like, say, the chorus, does not mean you say that to a rapper.
Right.
They're going to look around like, what's he? Where's
the people singing? Yeah.
Exactly. So, or even the jazz guy. I mean, so when you cross over genres, things mean different things. When you come from different parts of the world, things mean different things. There's all this studio terminology that is convoluted, or it's in direct, like, it doesn't mean the same thing if you're working with musicians from Britain. They'll use, they don't call chords. They might call a musical chord a chord, but a chord is a lead, right? Or a line is a cue, as opposed to, hey, I'm going to cue you in. Or so anyways, you get all these things that you have to learn. And it's like, oh wow. So the reason I'm mentioning this is because music, when you think, depends on the person you're talking to. Is music like a thing, or is music kind of a part of everything?
Everything.
And exactly. And so it became like this thing where it was just something that was a part of me that was very, very personalized. And an epiphany came that this is the basis for just kind of existence itself.
Right.
I mean, sound. Everything starts with sound. So in the studio world, I started getting these other educations that I could have never saw coming.
Right.
And it was from everything that's attached to what makes those beautiful musical moments, you know? So in now what's happening is I'm working with people in styles of music. One thing that happened for me is I got very lucky. Not only did I get lucky, I mean, just from the beginning of my life, getting adopted, number one.
Right.
But lucky enough to get this amazing studio that had all of this history and also authentic vibe, right? Like, you can't deny spaces. Like, you could just, let's say there's a room, and for some reason, whenever people go into that room, they always mention something about that room, right? It talks to them. They have a higher awareness. They're being sensitive, alerted to something they can't quite put their finger on, whatever that is.
It's got a soul to it. Yep.
All of that. That place had that, like, you wouldn't believe, to where people would literally walk through the threshold and just stand there looking around going, oh my God.
Wow.
And it's not because it's like standing under the Eiffel Tower where, you know, big
embodiment.
Yeah, it's not this tremendous opulence, but it's an intensity of authenticity that it's left behind, and even people who aren't super, who don't really notice those things a lot, they can't help but notice in this space. So this space would facilitate these people. I would try to get them into the zone as quickly as possible. And now all of a sudden I'm working with orchestral musicians. So it's this kind of rock thing that was my inner taste, even though I would say I was kind of really weaned on the balladeers, you know, and by that I mean the John Denvers, the Glenn Campbells. This was big at the time, Gordon Lightfoot's, Jim Croce's. Like those Olivia Newton-John, those acoustic singer-songwriters of the late 60s, early 70s, that was something that, like, my warm blanket.
Right.
My roommate, my brother, is crushing me with Sabbath and Zappa and Nugent and, you know, all of this stuff. and you know, the parents are often another universe with, you know, the classics, the classical. You know, so I've always had a taste and an understanding and awareness, but now it's like you got so-and-so in from Italy who's doing some beautiful kind of folk music with accordion and, you know, and a mandolin. And then later that day, you got a punk band coming in and just kicking it to you. You know what I'm saying? So I start now learning all of those haircuts that defined us as kids. Like, there's a rocker and there's a mod or whatever, you know, punker. I'm with all the haircuts. So, and I'm kind of like I don't talk to the clients at this time, other than my friends who first came to me musically were like, oh, record me. As this started to blossom, and I started to look like, oh, I could actually turn this into a business, because I learned the equipment that I bought, you know, the money I made over my life. I should say that I did have proper day jobs in the 90s. And what those were, they were the same as in Minnesota. They were music store related. So,
that's where you met Dweezil too, wasn't it? At one of the music stores?
Yes, Dweezil Zappa. So I met Dweezil working at the Guitar Center back in 1989. What's crazy about that is that I was listening to, for those who don't know, Dweezil Zappa is a really amazing, incredible artist, musician, guitar player, who's and a great personality. And he's the son of a musical icon legend, a composer named Frank Zappa. And so in the early 70s, sharing that room with that older big brother, he's playing, you know, it's his stereo. He's 7 years older. There's nothing that I can do against that age difference. And so he's turning me on to, you know, Frank Zappa, you know, and this would have been probably 1975, 76, around that time. So I would have been 6 years old or something. And so, I mean, I was certainly aware of, I've had many musical situations by then, but I would, just be amazed by this guy's insane music. And so I knew who Frank was. Well, around 1982, I should also mention that in the late 70s, as a young guitar player, I came across a guitar player who became my definitive idol or person that I looked to, and that was a guy named Eddie Van Halen. And,
Edward, yeah.
Edward Van Halen, right, and it's the legendary rock guitar player. And so in me loving that kind of music, and then, as my age, as my brother and I get older, my brother gets into those middle teenage years. We'll call those the tormenting years he likes to tease and hassle and do all the stuff big brothers do to me, Yeah. So one day after school, early 1982, I remember sitting on the edge of my bed. No, it couldn't have been 82, 81. I'm sitting on the edge of the bed. I'm playing my guitar, and my brother puts a picture right in front of my face from the, I guess, the Pioneer Press, St. Paul Pioneer Press newspaper, right in front of my face, and he goes, "Here's your competition." Uh-oh. And it's a picture of another 12-year-old little boy. His name's Dweezil Zappa, and he's photographed here in the newspaper with a guitar that Eddie Van Halen gave him. And I'm thinking, what the, and like my brother said, here's your competition. You know what I mean? Like, it's like a very pivotal moment.
Yep.
So I started learning about him and his playing and stuff early on in the 80s. So basically, I'm giving this, sharing this to let people know that by the time I meet Dweezil, I'm well aware of who he is and what he's done. And I was a fan of his. And so it just by luck, so I got that job at the Guitar Center in June of '89, I believe it was. And a year to the day, which would be September 1st, because we arrived September 1st, 1988. September 1st, 1989, I'm working at the Guitar Center on Sunset Boulevard, and they're having a big sale day or something. We all had to be there. And this guy from another department comes up to me and he goes, "Hey, I have to go take care of something really important. I need you to take care of my client. His name's Dweezil Zappa. You know who he is?" And I'm like, "Yeah,
light bulb."
Yeah. It's much more than what I'm making it, because, to be honest, somehow I manifested this, and I dreamt about him. I dreamt that we were friends. I remember doing this job where I was working at a music store during the day, but I had to do other stuff. So it was crazy. I was doing some janitor stuff downtown where my brother worked. And anyways, I'm in this office building, taking a break. And there's a magazine in the lobby of this law firm that I'm, emptying the trash in or something. And there's the New People magazine. And on the cover is this guy named Dweezil Zappa, and it says Hollywood's most eligible bachelor, and it opens up into a multi-cover.
Of course.
So when you just see the cover, it's him standing there looking cool, smiling with a couple girls or something. But then you open it up, and it's like two other pages of girls. So it's like, might as well be the cheerleading squad for the Raiders or something. You know what I mean? Like 40 women. And I'm sitting there and I'm looking at this photo, and the story was quite good because it had pictures of him in his house, and here he is there and there. Literally a year to the day that we got there, I met him, and within a week, I am in those photos. Awesome. I am in those locations that I saw in that. And so my life takes a major step up in terms of things that I get access to, musicians that I get access to, because now I'm at like a Frank Zappa rehearsal.
Right. Wow.
I'm standing with the orchestra. I'm talking to Frank. I'm next to him when he picks up a guitar. These experiences are now like, you're living in them,
right?
And so this just opened up a whole world of possibilities and opportunities for me. And so that was the late 80s. And another thing that came from that was that ultimately Dweezil then facilitated the connection to my relationship with Eddie Van Halen, which became a friendship in my life. And those things were, they really go back to Minnesota. They go back to the bedroom floor. And the thing is that there's several of these. There's several of them. And they're all apropos, and they're all musically oriented. The next one I'll share with you is that, so in the 90s, I'm out here, I get this band going, but I was mentioning day jobs. So I worked for the Guitar Center, and I worked for another music company called Carvin. And that's what I did through the 90s. And once I got my studio, I should also say I was doing guitar lessons on the side early on as well, because that was, it's an easy way to help somebody out and make, lunch, dinner money, whatever, so
pays the bills. Yeah.
Absolutely. And also too, you learn as a teacher. Anytime you're instructing, you learn, right? So I started learning that stuff real early at 14 years old, when people are going, hey, will you teach me this song? You start learning those nuances. So anyways, so with the early 90s, I'm playing in a band again, trying to get that band off the ground, and not having this success, always a member, there's just always an issue,
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, is it me? What's wrong with me? I get introspectively with it all,
Right.
But no, it just wasn't in the cards for me at that time. So I started getting more and more into recording, the studio business. I get the studio. It's not a business. I got my day job. It's my personal studio. I'm recording bands. It's growing more. That's when I decided in 2000, no more of the day job. I'm just going to do the studio. And it was my parents that said to me, why don't you just start a business? And I thought, God, I don't want to do that. I want to just play guitar in a band.
I want to do what I love.
Yeah, start a business. What? So, but I did. And
nice.
it was tough. I got to say, but it just from the first year to the second year to the third year was like double. Like it was really going. And what happened was, and this relates to the childhood bedroom floor that I mentioned, the next thing that was the huge musical burst of that changed or contributed greatly to my life was I got a phone call out of the blue from a guy named Jack Tempchin. Now, if that name doesn't ring a bell for anybody, and you have to think, why would it, right?
Right.
Well, there's a reason why I knew that name, and it's because of a musical songbook that used to be laying around the house in the early 70s, mid 70s. And I used to, like something we used to do when there was just records, is when you listen to your record, it becomes your focus. And when you're doing it, you're in that space, you're absorbing it, you're concentrating on it. And we used to read all of the details that came on the packaging of the record, whether there was a sleeve inside or what, like you wanted to soak it all up.
Yeah.
So in this book, as I'm looking through like the notes of the songs and I see all these song titles, popular song titles, I kept seeing this name for some reason, like, when you open up the page of a book and it's always the same page for some reason.
Yeah.
I would always
it all looks the same.
I would always go to this name and see this name, Tempchin. And Jack Tempchin wrote "Peaceful, Easy Feeling" for the Eagles. It's one of the
amazing.
One of the
greatest songs ever.
Exactly, and he co-wrote with them "Already Gone." All right, and at the time, those were ginormous hits as well as others. And so that's why I knew that name. That's the only reason why I knew that name. So here, all these years later, we're into, like, looking in that songbook would have been in the mid-70s. Now we're in 2003, okay? And I get a random phone call from a guy who tells me he's looking for a studio space, and his name is Jack Tempchin. And I'm like, hey, I know you. I know your name, And he's like, yeah, I wrote "Peaceful, Easy Feeling." I'm like, yeah.
Yep.
So So anyways, he needs a studio space to do something. So he says, can you put together a rhythm section for me? And I do. Yeah. And so anyways, long story short, he comes to my place. He was delayed by a couple hours. I thought that somebody was playing a trick on me.
Right.
You know, getting phone calls. People like to do that to businesses from time to time. Here I hired 2 guys to come set up, be here for something, and we're all standing around like
waiting.
Yeah, like is this you know, and after we're getting close to 2 hours, like I think I've been scammed and I'm gonna have to pay these guys for being here, and this isn't good. And then one of my neighbors shows up and he's like, hey Craig, there's some guy with a beard out in the parking lot wandering around looking for you. Like,
oh boy.
So I find him, and I should, well, let me complete this. So anyways, I meet this guy. We do a session, and everything changes from that day forward for me, because he fell in love with this energy of the studio, of that space, that room in it was just like, this is my home. This is my new home.
Perfect.
So all of a sudden, he starts bringing me all of this very much higher end type business,
right?
Because Jack, who is in the Songwriters Hall of Fame, who does have 2 songs on that was the greatest selling record of all time for a period of time, the Eagles' greatest hits. I think it was Thriller that knocked it off, or one of those Michael Jackson records beat it. Just ginormous success. Everybody he works with are all what you be referred to as A-list type people.
Right. Yep.
So the rhythm section I hired for him, he liked, but he told me, like, when the session was over, he's like, next time I'm going to bring in what I call an A-list rhythm section. And I was like, okay. But he was still happy with what I got him, you know. So we cut a song that night. It was called Going Back. It's a great tune. And Jack, anything that he writes, it gets pitched, basically. And when we recorded something that I do with Jack, it goes from Jack into Clive Davis's hands.
Wow.
Okay? Yeah. So Clive signed Jack's band in the 70s to a deal. His band was called the Funky Kings. Mm-hmm. They recorded the song Slow Dancin' that Jack wrote, swaying to the music that Johnny Rivers made a hit. So they tried to make it a hit. It didn't go.
Didn't work.
Johnny recut it. The reason I mention this is because in a Rolling Stone interview a few years ago, they asked Clive Davis, you know, what was, over your whole career, what was the band that you thought was going to be the one that it didn't work or something? And it was Jack's band.
Oh, of course.
So, but anyway, so you know, everything we're doing now has all this weight. Mm-hmm. So the responsibility goes way up. Yep. And now Jack's bringing Johnny Rivers into the studio. So now I got Johnny coming into my place, and other people like that. And I won't go down a name drop road, but just letting you know that now that these people are actually coming to my studio, which was local friends and whatnot. Just all of a sudden blossoms to A-list rhythm section. So the next time he came in, he brought in this guy, Don Heffington and Bob Glob, who are an A-list rhythm section, or were, because Don passed away, rest in peace. Yeah. This is the first time I record something where it sounds like a finished record the moment it's recorded.
Wow.
And so now you get a taste of what it's really like. People who play on hits.
Yep.
Oh my God.
This is how it's supposed to be. This is the bread and butter. This is it.
Exactly. And I'll tell you the awesome thing, the awesome byproduct of that scenario is me standing there going, I can hang with these guys. I can do this. Like, listen to this. Mm-hmm. So now all of a sudden, and I've always been pretty hard on myself, I'm lightening up, going, hey, you know, I'm not bad. I'll give myself that. You know what I mean?
I can bring it to the level if I need to. Hey.
Exactly. So I can hang with these people. This is fantastic. And not only that, they're all smiling, and they're all coming back, and they're all referring everybody they know. And so from that's been now 22 years of that.
Amazing.
And so when I look back at all the records that I've done, the thousands and thousands of sessions and hundreds of records of all different styles and genres, it's kind of crazy looking back. It's like looking back, I suppose, over the Grand Canyon.
A timeline,
Yeah, as to what I was before I moved out here.
Yep.
And as it was all coming together, because as I was doing it through the years, I would always, kind of question myself. Why am I putting myself on the back burner of my life? This is how I viewed it.
Right.
Because I was still, when you work these long studio sessions, which, the studio literally was my life for 22 years. Actually, for 22 years, I lived it, like literally.
Wow.
I was in it all the time, 20 hours a day, like my whole life revolved around that. Because now you're in the realm of the show must go on, okay?
Yep.
Professional touring musicians, the show must go on. Those people,
No question. Yep.
they do not screw around. And so you have to step up, and you can't just cancel something when you got 12 people a part of the scenario, because it's like, hey, I got this gig going on, lots of schedules coordinated.
Right.
You can't, I'm sick, I don't feel like, you can't do
It doesn't happen. Nope, you're there.
You gotta, so I started getting exposed to those types of situations of working with what I call the lifers, who even under the pain of, I kind of have to share this story just to give it the kick so I can really convey to the listener what I really mean by this. I'm not going to mention her name, but a client of mine who is she's got probably almost close to 50 years in the business. She, at a very pivotal time early in her career, this would have been late 70s, on her way to a show as she's building her brand, her name, her band, all of this, her sister flew out to go to the show with her. Her sister drove separately to the show. Her sister sadly got killed on the way to the show. The artist shows up to do the show, finds out her sister's just been killed, and goes out and does the show. This is what we're talking about.
Yeah, yep. Just got to bring it and do it. And
exactly. You take it on after, because there's a packed house of, you know what I mean?
Right.
So now I'm standing in the room with this girl. I'm recording this girl. I'm like, I can't tell you what that, it changed me.
Yeah, it gives me goosebumps. It's one of those you just, you can feel it.
Yeah. It was just very, 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 I don't want to say impressive, because, she would have loved nothing more than to lie down in the fetal position and just let it all out.
Right.
And who wouldn't?
Right.
So, but there is that other thing of the show must go on. And so I just wanted to convey to what degree I mean when I say that.
Right.
That's how I learned it. That's how I've personally experienced it. So I always hold her as the high watermark of that scenario. So it's very serious. So and everything that I started picking up and learning, it did make me a better musician overall, because it's made me a better person overall. And what gets me is the fact of all of that stuff from the Minnesota days, how that all, I've seen it come out of the ground and into reality throughout my life.
Right.
And the only thing that throws me off is I thought I would be a successful playing and touring musical artist. Mm-hmm. But when I think back, I never obsessed on that.
Right.
So the things that I did obsess on, they have come to fruition. And maybe I will see what I would, I've lived as long as I have. I'm alive and well. I'm successful.
Absolutely.
I have a successful, happy marriage with my wife of 22 years.
Yeah.
I'm the biggest supporter. I live where I want to live. Like, I'm successful. But that other thing, like, I feel like I still am on my upward trajectory and expansion with my life. And I feel like when I would ask myself, and especially with the Zappa work, because I could have never predicted that I would end up being like one of the main mixing engineers of Frank Zappa's entire musical archive. Like, I could have never dreamt of that. I never saw it coming. I had no inner desire. It was bestowed on me as if I just picked up the phone and somebody said, "Hi, it's Jack Tempchin.
Let's do this." Yeah.
I just answered the call, basically.
Yeah.
And so I never asked to know who Dweezil was. My brother stuffed that thing in my face. I never asked it to know him. My employee compadre said, "Hey, could you please help me out? Oh, by the way, his name is Dweezil Zappa." Yeah, and then.
Seeing the Van Halen cover when you were young, or watching his footwork, and like, let's pick up the guitar, let's do it.
Oh man, like that stuff. Yeah, I didn't. I'm amazed that you even know about any of that sort of stuff, because this could get extremely esoteric and technical.
Let's do it.
Yeah, it's just I was always looking what I call behind the notes. Mm-hmm. Because the notes themselves, they're almost like a drop of water in the sense where I can't explain it. Now, you can break it down physics-wise and go, well, it's a vibration, it's da-da-da. Mm-hmm. But there is also the capacity that's beyond what we realize or understand. And so music is always talking to me like it's talking from the dark. Like it's just
has an outer body experience or something, yeah.
Basically, but it's like, why can't I understand you in your most purest basic form without any puzzling confusion? You know what I mean? And so when I started working on Frank's music, and for those who don't know, Frank is a legit composer. I mean, he will. Not only is an incredible guitarist in front of a rock band with orchestral instrumentation attached to the rock band, the writing, the stylings are so intense. Mm-hmm. And I've worked on so much of his music, and anything that I record or work on, it goes through my bones. Like, I'm a part of it. It goes through me, I do what I do, and then it's kind of left. I'm not trying to put my stamp on things. I'm trying to let what I'm perceiving to direct me to take it where it wants me to take it.
Mm-hmm. This is my inner body experience for you, yes.
Yeah, I don't take charge and go, you're going to be this. I let it... I absorb it, I let it talk to me, and then I go, oh, it wants to be this. That's the approach. But anyways, with all of this Frank stuff, I would, these are massive projects. I've probably done, I should get this number solidified in my mind, but it's got to be close to, I would say 80 records of just Frank's music. And
amazing.
Yeah, and we're talking about filling up the CD with all 80 minutes. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So, and then there's a huge portion of his son Dweezil that I was mentioning. Let's move this. And he plays his father's music as well. Mm-hmm. And I've mixed an awful lot of that as well. So between all of Frank's music, I literally say probably about 175 albums. Wow. Worth of music that I've done in my life of his music, and when I do it and it goes through me, I want to know, like, what is this? Where's the meaning behind this? Like if you were to look at a crop circle, right? And you're just like, that's a. But actually, if for those who talk about it or study, they're telling you like, well, a crop circle is actually, it's not particularly a thing, even though it is in the sense of how I'm describing it. But a crop circle is actually like a whole book of coded information. It's not just one message. It's like E to F in the encyclopedia. There's a bunch of information in it. Well, music to me, we know it can make our hair stand up. Like we can have physical reactions. So, and we know that it's physics that's doing it. Your senses are being tickled and agitated and vibrated. Yeah. But there's all this other information. And I want to know, like, clearly, like, what is that? And so Frank's music, absorbing it, I just say, I guess I'm not going to get to know. I have to wait to the next life before I understand all this. Because it is the sort of thing, when you work on this stuff, it leaves a residue. And this, in my belief, this is part of what I will take with me when I leave the body. Okay? So it's not just coming through for nothing. So I'm trying to sift for gold and expand. So, because you got to imagine, when you work in volume and you're working with notes for long periods of time, it's kind of like working your muscles nonstop.
Right.
You know what I mean? You're just sitting there doing curls all day long, not stopping. And so I don't want to just do stuff and not have it be meaningful. So I'm trying to, for me, it's all a big picture deal. I'm trying to see, why did my life go this way?
Right.
Why did I learn all this from all of these varying musicians?
Yeah.
Why did I specialize in certain genres or styles that weren't even anything I was particularly interested in?
You go from opera to actors to politicians to anybody, yes.
Exactly. Now, and imagine being a Eddie Van Halen guitar guy.
Yeah.
And all I'm working on is Americana. Right? Just banjos and acoustics and uprights but Americana that's the most amount the single genre I've done the most amount of work in, probably other than Frank. and one thing I really don't work a lot with would be rock bands.
Right, which is crazy.
Yeah, and I actually love that because I like doing mariachi, I like doing jazz, I like doing these are all departures, and so I'm really blessed and lucky that I did have the studio as long as I did. They did end up, I never owned the place, I was always leasing, so they ousted everybody from the studio I was in back in 2019. And it ended up being a really good thing because I was getting kind of fried on recording bands.
Right.
I was getting agitated with being on the back burner of my life with my music because.
When did you release Vestibular?
Okay, so that it's a tough one to say because it is a term that I created. So the way you say it is Vestibular.
There we go.
Yeah, Vestibular. And Vestibular, I released that in 2022, but it was a lifetime's work. It was a long journey to get that record done. It relates to Edward Van Halen particularly. It actually relates to an experience back in that childhood bedroom in Mendota Heights there before I moved to Winslow Court. And kind of an out-of-body experience I had when I was 12 years old in 1981. It relates to Van Halen. And it basically, I had an experience where I was listening to a record and the music, I don't know how to describe it other than a otherworldly experience or an out-of-body experience. Because I'd never had anything happen like that up until that time. And basically, I'm listening to this piece of music and all of a sudden, like everything everything just stopped. Like you're just frozen in space, but the notes are still coming, but time somehow is standing still. And I literally have this voice that says to me, you're going to spend your entire life learning how to do this from just this one artist alone. And it was literally that specific. I'm listening to this music and it's like, I'm just wondering why I'm feeling this way. The music has taken over my heart in a way that I've never experienced. And this dialogue, maybe dialogue's the wrong word, but this voice comes in my head and it says, you're going to, and I mean, I'm literally standing there stupified, like, this isn't, what's going on? Yeah. But I snapped to, and I said, okay, I'm going to do this. This is going to be my life. And so my life was basically trying to find out the real inner essences of Edward Van Halen. Now, I didn't really know how to put that in terminology at the time, but that's what it ended up being. And you had mentioned, this feet stuff. Just to tell the listener that I at this point now, 35 years or so of trying to emulate or seek out or learn from Edward Van Halen, this kind of special weight or magic that he has compared to others. A lot of that journey, that predominantly, I did it by watching his feet, not his hands.
Right.
And there was multiple reasons that led up to that. One of those reasons was that music store scenario that I told you about at Rock Guitar Center, when all these guitar players would come in and it'd just be like, this person doesn't have it, this person has this. Like, you can compare all this stuff and you start realizing that, there's an offshoot going on here. And you could think of that as like adding water to your liquor, watering down you're watering something down, basically.
Right. Yep.
Edward Van Halen never was he was always I viewed him always as a direct spigot to the source. So when you turned him on, or when he touched something and played it, it spoke, it traveled through the world in a different way. And in that is what I was trying to learn. So when I would see these guys playing right in front of me, I started getting less interested in what their hands were doing, because I could see, he's sitting there, he's playing it, she's playing, they're doing it the same way.
Yeah.
But you don't even have to look at them, and you can feel. So that's kind of what led me to Ed's feet, but ultimately it was an accident by ending up in the front row of a Van Halen concert in 1984 at the St. Paul Civic Center.
Nice.
That's because at my height, his feet were right at my eyes, and I was right up against the barricade there. So I was forced to, hey, check out these feet. You know what I mean? Like, really check them out. Like, and that's when I really, really noticed. But those nuances. Another thing I want to tie in is when I was saying when I first got my studio in '97, that historic old studio, Santa Monica and Gower Boulevards in Hollywood, right next to Paramount. I was in a complex with 18 other studios. Wow. In the building.
Yep.
Let alone Paramount Studios is across the street. They're just every block there's studios. Yeah. So LA was just was completely saturated with studios. But what I learned is what you had said is there is more than enough to go around. There is. And if you could think of like that image we get, the satellite image of a hurricane. Mm-hmm. To me, my business, my Winslow Court was its own hurricane. Right. And my hurricane could be right up next to my neighbor's hurricane. And my clients and their clients never know each other. They never knew each other. Well, now they're meeting because they might be hanging out in the lounge or they see each other coming through or whatever. But so I can safely say that to people, that when you feel like, there's not going to be enough, in my experience, there's more than enough. Mm-hmm. And you will have your very own scene, just like your neighbor's scene will be different, and you want to work together,
Everybody wins, yeah.
Yeah, this is where harmonizing, comes into play, as opposed to what's the word I'm looking for? Consonance, or that's not the word. It'll come back to me. Yeah. You don't want to butt heads or have conflicting, just any tensions or any of that consternation. That's what I was
There you
looking
go.
for. Yeah. So that was really cool. And then in the musical atmosphere, everything's pretty much wide open. Where if I had a client come to me and it's like I'm not feeling it, I would refer them. I would always send them away. So I knew that if I couldn't bring something to what it was, that they need somebody different. Other than that, I would pretty much take on just on feel alone. I never advertised. It was always word of mouth, and that grew. So after Jack came in, now it just opened up the doors. And without getting into names and stuff, I'll just say now I'm working with Grammy winners. Yeah. All this kind of stuff. So now I get access into that kind of world, and I'm working on records that are getting nominated, clients getting nominated, wins stuff. I personally got nominated for engineering at one point. So those accolades came in. You still strive for them. I just finished. Right. I just turned in mixes on a record last night, and you still hope that hopefully this will do good for the label, and it'll make it through. And if it gets those extra feathers of notice, those can be helpful. So after all of these years of still doing it, I still have the same mindset. You're trying to accommodate, who's paying you, what do they want you to do?
Yep.
What are they expecting? When are they expecting it? All of these sorts of things. And I've always been good about the service aspect of stuff. I don't mind it. And then everything is depending on how you view it. It's either it could be a pain or it could be great. If you think of when you're working at the computer, it's just clicks.
Right.
So why do you want to put a bunch of energy into this click or this click or this? You know what I mean? Like give them all this real heavy meaning.
Extra. Yeah.
No. So that was something for self-preservation reasons, being able to not fold or, either A, fold under pressure, or B, just get completely wiped out. I had to learn the art of self-preservation, because anybody who does anything audio-wise, I can tell you, like when I went from analog to digital,
right,
like that was an actual shift in my whole being. Like I knew that it's a different, I was going to say beast, but I won't use that term. It's a different
adaptation.
It is. And it comes through you in a different way, because now it's through this glowing screen.
Right.
Where before
everything's here and everything was analog before,
Yeah, plus you're not visually tied down in the session. Because when you're doing sessions, you're always, you're looking at, the control center, which is usually on the computer. So, but before that, no, everything, you're just looking out at you're looking out into the tracking room of the people.
Yep.
You're just looking around basically. So just the computer itself would bring something to it. But also, you have the ability to listen to things on repeat over and over and over, which you need to do for multiple reasons, and that can end up getting trapped in your psyche. So you take that to bed. So whatever the last song you were working on, or the strongest chorus or hook of the song, something is sticking in your memory, and you're laying down and you're bedding down and you're hearing this thing on a loop.
Here's the riff over and over. Let's go. How can I make it work?
That was the first thing that I needed to learn how to conquer. And that literally is kind of for me, it was a mind over matter situation, because I was like, I'm not gonna survive if this is gonna be my going to sleep scenarios.
Right. I live it all day long and all morning and noon and night. Now I'm sleeping with it too.
Right. And so I basically just commanded myself, and through basically practice, was able to master the thing where I can give myself a mental command to just shut it off, and it will shut off. Or I have a safe song that I can pull into my internal jukebox to cleanse the palate.
Nice.
Right?
Yep.
So I took responsibility and direct charge over that. Like, this is not going to ruin me. So that happened very early on, where I was able to gain control of my sleep, without the loops going on in my head. So the studio business brought me from this to this in every aspect of existence, of life.
Absolutely.
And also of how to relate with people, how to put out fires. I mean, it's really, I would say, far more the conversation and the discussion, or just the transfer of energy of, say, you and I were sitting in a room next to each other, instead of looking on a screen, you're
right.
3 feet away from me. I would feel you different. You would feel me different, right?
Absolutely.
So all of those thousands of experiences have. I mean, I'm quite comfortable in my skin, and I'm quite confident that if there was a group of people that needed to get something done, in a, for whatever reason, that I could be a valued member of the team, to let them know that I have their backs, and you can let everything go. In fact, not only can you need to. Like, you got to do that.
Absolutely.
And then I'll switch into comforting them in ways that they don't even realize.
Right.
And that then becomes my main job. I didn't think about the compressors or the limiters or the this or the that. Like, I have my setup. I know what gear that I use, but I do not in any way, other than the initial setup or whatever. And this assumes that everything is functioning and working. I don't have gear going down on me. I've been blessed throughout my life. I buy good gear, and it lasts, and I take care of it. But all of those things, they're all like easily handled. So I really know that the person is in the cradle of my palm, and they don't feel like that, and they don't know that.
Right.
And that really is the best art form. Then, like, even turning in I've mixed so many records. I turned in a record yesterday, right, for the label, and it's still like the first record I ever did. I don't know. Are they gonna like it? Is everybody gonna hate it? Is there anything gonna, like, you go through all of that stuff, even all of these years later. I'll share a story with a great guy that I worked with by the name of Jeff Emmerich. Jeff Emmerich wrote a book called Here, There, and Everywhere, My Life Recording the Music of the Beatles.
Yeah.
Okay. His first day on the job at age 15, his second day on the job at age 15 into 16 was to assist this new band from Liverpool.
Right.
I mean, amazing. That's how he started, right? And then just it goes on from there. He becomes their head engineer by 19, wins his first Grammy at 19 for Sgt. Pepper. This guy became my friend through a phone call through another great client who just rung me up. Her name is Nellie Mackay, and I've had a long time working career with her. And one day she says, my producer's going to have a producer for this record. He wants to come by and see your place. And she tells me his name, and I didn't know his name, so but I did Google him, and I looked him up, and I was like, oh my God, this guy's done everything.
Yes.
Just an incredible career. And again, rest in peace. He's passed on.
Yeah.
But the reason I bring this up is because him and I worked together on, a few projects, and co-produced some stuff together. We did a lot of stuff. We were friends.
Right.
But I remember working with him where the first mix that I did we actually recorded Yellow Submarine in its entirety because he recorded it, and the original, and Nellie was doing a cover of it, and she's an extremely advanced, multi-talented artist. And so we did everything that they did, we did. So we cut it from the ground up and had celebrity artists come in and play on the track. But when he mixed it in my room on my stuff on my NS10 speakers right behind me.
Yep.
And he just mixed it once. He listened to it and he's like, there it is.
I'm done.
I'm done. He didn't question it. You want to hear it on something? Nope.
I'm good.
That's it. And I just thought, wow, that's amazing. Yeah. Jeff could get him to that place. I get himself to that place.
Right.
For me, I always question the work that I do. And I can, if I have to deliver in the moment, I'll bring that confidence or whatever. But to me, there's always been a fine line between confidence, ignorance, and arrogance.
Mm-hmm.
And so a little too much confidence one way, you get into the ignorant world, and a little too much the other way, you get into the arrogant world, which I don't want to be either of. But I do have an inner grace that I know I can do. I'm decent at what I do, and I can show up and be a part of the team. But in no way do I ever feel like, oh yeah, I got it my way.
I got it. We're good. We're done.
This is it. You know, another thing about the project I just finished yesterday. This is the 4th record I've done with this band called The Third Mind, and it's probably the 20th record I've done with the guitarist of the band, who's Grammy winner Dave Alvin. Mm-hmm. And Dave Alvin and I have worked together for over 20 years, and that was a direct connection with Jack. That Jack basically referred me to Dave through the lineage of one other person, this guy Greg Lease, but this guy Dave Alvin from the Blasters, who I mentioned, goes back to that childhood bedroom floor.
Yep.
in Minnesota, who I used to see the pictures of his band in the back of the magazines that I'd look at when I was a kid. And so now here I'm working with them. Well, now it's been 22 years or so, and like I said, I just finished like my 20th record with this artist.
Amazing.
Yeah. So what I'm turning in, there's 5 producers in the band. 5, you know, because it's a super group of sorts. So not only am I mixing it to the best, but I'm trying to make it for everybody. You know what I'm saying?
Incorporate it, yeah.
Here it is. So and of course they'll rip it apart and do what they always will do. You know, turn this up, turn this down, whatever. I'm just trying to say that I don't have the ease of like, it's all good. I still want little butterflies. Like, are they gonna, you know, all that. Well,
it's making the unknowns. Like, is it good? Is it not good? What are you gonna think?
Well, that's exactly right, because what you just said is huge. You have to get the known, and when you try to extract the known, i.e., I have a client wants me to do something, okay, client's using these words, okay, this is what it sounds like they know they want me to do, okay, but now you have to go a step further and you have to go, what do you actually mean by these words?
You can say them, but that's not what you want. Right,
because the example I use for this is the Fuji apple. If you have a Granny Smith in your backyard tree growing up, and somebody gives you a Fuji, you're going to go, oh man, look how red that apple is.
Right.
But if somebody's got a delicious apple tree in their backyard, they're going to look at that Fuji and go, look how green that. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So red's not red.
Nope.
What's red to you?
What do you really mean? Yeah.
Exactly. And in this esoteric world of the arts, I get people that will say, hey, this one girl in particular I always remember, she's like, can you make it sound like I'm in the mountains? Right?
Echoing, that's what I would picture. Like,
of course, you know exactly where to go, right?
Yeah.
But if she didn't say that, like she could say, oh, I have some echo, so I sound like I'm in the mountains. Well, that's what she might say after you've shown her the technique of, oh, here's how we get to make it sound like you're in the mountains. This is reverb and this is delay. Check it out.
Yeah.
So that's the other thing I learned very early on. Like when I willfully said, I am going to block and learn how to shut off the loop in my head. I am going to willfully decide when I work on this music, am I going to absorb this stuff, or am I going to let it just go through me? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And that attaches to like how I deal with life. So if there's a life issue, I always think of myself as standing next to the Mississippi River in downtown St. Paul,
Yeah.
and I'm watching a log float by. Do I need to swim out and go grab on and hold on to that log for dear life for any reason? Or is it just something in existence passing by?
Yeah.
Can I just look at it and enjoy it going by without sinking my teeth into it or latching onto it? So I decide consciously what I want to absorb and what I just want to pass through me. These are all things I did for my peace of mind, techniques and stuff like that. They all came out of having this studio. It helps in all areas, you know.
Well, for sure, with the people coming in from different cultures and what they say versus what they mean, and being able to adapt to get to know that person and what they really want.
That's been amazing because I literally do have a large international clientele from all over the world. I mean, everywhere, even Antarctica. I mean, every continent. I've had people come and work on projects, and it's incredibly enriching. That's all I can say. There's been frustration levels along the way, and like in anything, right? You can have these frustration levels, but I learned to make the decision to not let the frustration actually frustrate me, because it's like when you're learning when you go from analog recording to digital, you have to learn all of this stuff that can make you like, I just want to hit play. Too many
technical aspects on that one.
how do I punch in so I can do an overdub? Well, if you don't know the key command, you're in, or you don't know the technique. See, we're going back a ways. So, you know, up and comers, maybe they don't have this as intensely as we did. The ones who came before, but then did the transition. Because I can tell you, when I learned the key command, a simple key command to punch in and punch out, or to do what's called playlists, I cried.
Mm-hmm.
I literally cried because of the time I knew to see. So it takes a long time to learn how to do something that you don't know how to do, but you gotta have the good attitude of like, hey, I could smash the wall right now because I don't know how to do something, but you take the time, learn how to do it, and then once you learn it, you make it your own, and it's gone. So best not to get heated. Well, I didn't think that way 25 years ago. You know what I'm saying? I grew into those understandings, and other people, and especially the diversity of the globe, it's all spices and flavors and techniques and, you know, things that you can use in your arsenal. Like, so it's all you convert it all, you know, to tools, useful things. So, you know, I've been super blessed. I have to say that when I think back of all of the musical stuff that I went through in Minnesota, all of my musical friends that I'm still in touch with, contact with there.
Yeah.
I still go back. It's been a little over a year. I think I say I think because I don't know 100%, but I don't have any family left there.
Right.
So at this point now, it would, you know, it's just to make those extended family visits and things.
Yeah, and the memories.
Exactly, yeah. Which of course, you know, I still plan on doing. I do have a love and a great respect for Minnesota and where I came from, and in some ways, if I would do my life all over again, this is a big statement, I probably wouldn't have left.
Wow.
Probably would have stayed, and that's mainly focused on my parents and my relationship with them. But it really was, looking back, the whole thing was extremely enriching, you know.
Yeah.
I was done with the plains and the bluffs and the cliffs and the caves and the rivers, and I needed the ocean and the desert and the
Yep.
mountains so because you just soaked it up as a kid. It was fantastic, and I do have an archive of films and photos and things of that nature from my family, which I last year digitized.
Nice.
Yeah, so I got all this great footage, and it really was a special, beautiful place. I totally lucked out. And also, when I should mention, when I was in high school at Henry Sibley, which is in West St. Paul, I think it has a new name now.
Yeah.
The band instructor used to come around and always get me in the hallway, and he'd try to get me to play in the band
Oh,
class.
for sure.
In the band class, he's like, I know you play guitar. I know you're good, and you should come play with the band. And it must have been 3 years in a row that he would, multiple times he'd ask me, and I just never did. I was like, it's the squares, you know what I mean? That's how I viewed it at the time. Now, of course, I don't view any of it like that at all. I would have taken that opportunity, I think, just to be around, because band musicians are, when I say band musicians, I mean band musicians you'd see in school. So
school bands.
School bands, yeah. So I didn't come up around that. I came up around my brother's friends, his band. So it was a different thing. I wasn't interested in the school band. But now it's, at least for the young people, I would say no barriers. No, like my mom always wanted me to play at church. I never did. But I should have just done it because my mom wanted me to do it. Just that enough should have been like, you got it, Mom. I'll play it. You got it. I'll play. Yeah.
Well, that's the one thing I even look back at. I used to play the violin, and now I look back, if I wouldn't have continued, now I'm picking up the guitar and playing the guitar. I'm like, if I didn't stick with that, which I really should have and been forced to and just wanted to and drawn to it, like, now I'm older and I'm going back to the music world again, like trying to bring it all back.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, so I guess it was stifled, or you left dormant for a period of time, but still in you percolating.
Oh yeah, grew up in the family industry of music and knew it. Played the sports for a while, did the sports thing, and now I'm like full circle going back and getting back into the music world. So it's amazing.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, so I would definitely advise to, in fact, go out and interact with the styles of music that you either may not like or you just don't know about or whatever.
The unknowns too.
Everybody's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter. Everybody's cool. From the little kid that plays here to the stud that plays there to the girl that plays here, like to the people in the symphony.
Yeah.
The whole it brings everybody together in a very, very unique way. But if you're also an artist and a musician, I tell you, and if you haven't already come to this awareness yet, you will get ideas and inspiration from places that you will never see coming.
Right.
And so you best just go out there like a dry sponge, because you can convert everything into a great day or a great attitude or a great something. So now I'm where I am in life is I take it as it is, life as it is. Yeah. I don't need to put my energy into anything that I'm looking at. I need to actually do the opposite and just purely absorb what I'm looking at. That's my current stance.
It's important.
Yeah, it keeps me feeling enriched and invigorated. I don't feel. That's another thing is that when I'll speak for myself. When I was young, rock and roll. Right. At least from the time that I grew up, rock and roll was the predominant mindset. I'll say in my world.
Yes, it was.
And rock and roll was always viewed, and I always remember it as a young person's game. Mm-hmm. It was always looked at that. But that's when all of the old rockers who are around now, still rocking, were younger. And rock and roll was it's a brand new thing. But it's now, without a doubt, we now know. It's ageless.
Yeah, it is. It never dies.
No. So whatever keeps that creativity flowing whatever makes somebody want to, hit record on their phone and catch this on your memo, because who knows, and record. I say record it all. It's you have no idea when it can fall into place, and be useful or whatever. So it's kind of a never dying or a fully charged thing that we always get access to.
Yep, the spigot's always there, whether it's on or off, it's there.
Yeah, exactly.
No problem.
Got it.
Yep. Yeah, so it's super exciting. We just wanted to let our viewers, everybody, hear your story. CraigParkerAdams.com if you haven't been on his website. He is an amazing person, guitar aficionado, has Winslow Court Studios in Hollywood, California, has done so many amazing things, and we can't wait to see what the future holds for you.
Wow. Well, I appreciate all of that very, very much. And I'm honored to be a part of this. And I'm also really stoked to have learned how music for you has got you in a fresh new position.
Always has, always will be. It's in your soul. Once it's there, it doesn't really go away.
yeah, for sure. So, and it was a thrill to have this conversation, and hopefully I wasn't too long-winded for many folks. So, and always thrilled to talk anytime.
Yes.
And it's CraigParkerAdams.com. People can reach out for any reason at all. So, I thank you both for
you bet.
For
We'd
your
love
time.
to have you on again in the future, and just to see where your world brings you, if it brings you back to Minnesota or where you end up.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's yeah. And it is going to be somewhere. That is kind of what the latest thing is for us is, the next location, basically.
Right.
For the studio and also just for where we're living. So, but fortunately, safe and sound in the middle of LA right now, which is
no wildfires there.
Well, yeah, we have the smoke and whatnot around, but I'm literally about 6 miles from the closest burn site. So, I feel good. Yeah, feeling okay. So. Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, CraigParkerAdams.com. Again, guys, get on there. It'll go out in our newsletter, and we can't wait to talk to you again, Craig.
Thanks, Chris. It's been my honor and pleasure. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, take care. Bye.
Yep.